Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sunday night at 9 p.m. I'm Rufus Carpenter with your co-host, Coach Glenda. How you doing, Coach Glenda?
Good evening.
Are you ready for a great night?
Yes, I am.
Okay, welcome everybody for participating. Tonight, we have a great subject for you tonight. Tonight, love as the glue. Does it truly sustain a marriage or hold a relationship together? Love. A lot of us, we feel we know so much about love. So we're going to find out tonight what that is. But before we get into that, let me share with you what Sunday night at 9 is a format where we come together weekly and we discuss relationship issues that you normally don't discuss in your neighborhood. The format is super easy. It's as if you had 20 of your girlfriends and they're in your living room and you guys are talking about what's important to you. You're talking about relationship. You found a space that's a secure space that you can be safe, you can be vulnerable, and you can let your thoughts out and you can help one another. So that's what it is. So feel free to share. The only thing I ask is that you don't really call any names, okay? Because this is being recorded and we're going to put this on a Zoom call later on. Not a Zoom call, but on YouTube later on in the week. So we want to ask that you relax, open up, and speak your truth. You can get in for as much or a little as you want to. You can actually be part of the conversation because we're going to have some questions and we want to be very interactive here. So this is your time to just relax, let go, and just have fun because this is a no judgment zone. Okay. Now, once again, my name is Rufus Carpenter. Let me tell you a little bit about me before we get started. My journey in this relationship space is a little different than most. My background started as a young child from a relative poor family in a 3-bedroom house with 14 siblings. Now, we only had one bathroom, so can you imagine sleeping with 4 of your siblings and then dealing with the occasional bedwetter? Man, it wasn't easy, but I got through it. When you have that many people that you live with in a small one bathroom house, you learn a lot about the human connection. Fast forward, I was married for 27 years to the same woman. In marriage, if you married that long, you learn some things about thick and thin of marriage, relationship. You learn communication, you learn trust, you learn compromise. And these things are not just things you need for a great relationship or a strong relationship, but these are the things you need for a deeper connection with your partner or significant other. So I've taken away that from there. Now, my story didn't stop there. I was in the Army, and the Army trained me for what's called an equal opportunity race relation leader, where I had a responsibility of going to any relationship problem we had in the command or in the group. I was the first person to come on scene and do the initial intake to decide how do we handle that situation. So I'm versed in a lot of different arenas, what they call relationship. So I feel very strongly about taking this time, being with you tonight, and bringing the male perspective to this relationship conversation. So let's get started. Our topic tonight, love as the glue. Does it truly sustain a relationship or a marriage? Let's see. I want to start with this one question first, just to set the tempo before we go any further. I want to start with this one question. Is love a feeling or is love a choice? That's the first thing, and that's going to set the tempo off because a lot of us know a lot about love and we know a lot about relationships. But let's start off first. Is love a feeling or is love a choice? Anybody want to jump into that first? Anybody want to start us out before I get started? Because once I get started, I might not stop. But this is a great topic for me. So anybody?
Okay, well, this is Angela speaking. Okay. Love it's a choice because if you may start out with some feelings, the butterfly feelings, oh, I'm in love, and so forth. But after a while, that wears off. that wears off as you continue to mingle with each other, talk, communicate, see each other in different settings and so forth and so on. And then you may come across some things that you don't like. But if you love a person, it's a choice.
Yeah.
Not just feelings, because our feelings are fickle.
Yep.
They can be very fickle.
Great answer, Angela. Great answer. I saw Annette. Hi, Annette. Welcome aboard. I see you came, you had some thoughts about that. You got some thoughts about what love is a choice or love is a feeling, Annette. Do you want to address that?
Okay, good evening, everybody. But love is a choice or love is a feeling. I'm not quite sure because it's coming in a little bit later, actually. But are you asking, is it either or?
Is it either? How do you see it? I'm asking, how do you see it?
And you asking me, do I see it in either of those choices?
Right. If I had to ask you, is love a choice or love a feeling? What would your answer to me be?
I say love is a feeling.
Okay.
And I say it because of when you feel in, I think personally when someone say they feel that when they're in love, that I love you, I feel this. It's not me just choosing this. It's something I feel for you. But now as far as whether which is preferably or which would work better, I would have a different view. But I think love is a feeling.
Okay. Great answer.
Now being in love is a choice.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what I'll say.
So you saying both. Now, Marina, Marina in iPhone, is that Marina in iPhone?
Yes, sir.
You want to comment on that, because I saw your light up that you had some thoughts about that.
Oh no, I hit a button by mistake. I'm just listening right now.
Okay. All right. So good. So let's say if we say love's a choice, it's a whole bunch of choices you got to make on a daily basis about your partner. If we say it's a feeling, it's a whole bunch of feelings that come to you day in and day out about your partner, about your mate. So let's start this by saying it could be both. Let's say it could be being both. Now, even though it's a feeling or whether it's a choice, these decisions come to you daily about who your mate is. So as we go through the night, we're gonna really decide, and at the end of this, we're gonna figure out, how do you see it? Now, when we talking about things of the heart, and I'm glad we're doing it now, because February, February is love month. Valentine is right around the corner, so everybody's deciding what they're gonna get their boo, and what you're gonna get, and how you're gonna present it, how you're gonna stage it. Are you gonna go take them out, or you're gonna have dinner? You're gonna have a private this, or are you gonna travel? How are you gonna spend that time with your boo? So this is a great time to talk about love and what it takes to hold things. Now, when Angela said it, she kind of said that love itself is not enough, that the spark wears out. And she's true. Love is only a small part. Love may be the catalyst that got you together. It might have been the spark that brought you on board. It might have been a spark that made you realize, that person and I might have something in common. But love can't operate by itself. Love needs some support from some other elements. What are some of the elements that love needs support from? I know the biggest, I think, is communication.
Yeah, I agree on that.
I had a conversation with somebody today, and they told me that communication is so strong in a relationship that if you don't have communication, you don't have a relationship.
And I think respect also for each other.
Yeah.
Respect, yes. So we've got communication, we got respect, and respect and communication are two big things, and we call it mutual respect. In the relationship field, we call it mutual respect, because not only do you have to respect each other, but you got to respect what you guys trying to do as a partnership. Because a lot of times when you have problems, it's not the relationship that's broke or having problems. It's one of the individuals in the relationship. So this is when mutual respect comes into play.
And I think being faithful and also telling each other what you want and need and being open
You covered a whole bunch of them right there. You taking my night away from me. You make my night
I'm
easy.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, because that's what this is all about. We want to hear everybody's perspective, everybody's voice in that. Because when we're talking about relationships, and we're especially talking about love, when we're talking about love, we got to realize love is glue, but love has to stick to something. When you see glue commercials, you always see two parts. They're always sticking something together. They want to glue something together. So when you're talking about glue, you're talking about putting two parts together, two halves together to make a whole object, make the bond. So if we saying glue, love is the glue, what are we sticking glue to? We're sticking to the communication. And we talking about open communication, we talking about open, honest, sincere communication. And that communication can be such a strong bond. Some people feel that communication really makes love flourish all by itself. If you can communicate, we can get this thing, we can do something. We can grow this love, but we can only communicate. But I agree with that, but still there's a little bit more. Communication is strong and communication is key, but there's some more elements left. I think one of the biggest elements, and this is for me, trust.
Yes.
Marina, I think you said the trust part. You said the infidelity, cheating. That trust part is very, very important.
And I think it's so important also to let each other grow within your own life, and have your, we all need to get away sometimes, let him have his guy night and whatever, and don't be jealous over that. You got to have your girl night.
Yep, and we call we call that shared goals and values. Yes. Shared goals and values, and that's where you grow together. That's when you guys align together what's on your mind. You kind of agree what you're doing, and you grow there because you give the other person a chance to grow because you guys have already agreed. Here's what our shared goals are. Here's how we're going to align ourselves with our vision. This is the vision for this relationship. This is a vision for this marriage, or this is a vision for this union, or however you want to see it. Here's what you want to go. So you brought up a great point there. And when you align yourself with the key aspects of fostering a collective decision, we've made a decision that we're going to be together. We've made a decision that we're going to grow together. We've made a decision that we're in this ride or die together. And that means a lot. That means a lot. And this is the choices that Annette we're talking about. These are the choices. We made this choice to have this relationship. We made this choice to share this future. We made this choice to be together on this journey. So that's when the choice come in. So you're right. So love is a choice. Now let's back up to that mutual respect. That mutual respect, because I think somebody said about respect. When you recognize each other's difference, when you recognize how to support each other, when you recognize your personal dreams and your goals, that respect, that's more of a feeling instead of a choice.
Say that again.
Go ahead, Angela. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, she's asking you to repeat yourself.
Repeat yourself.
Okay. When you were talking about mutual respect, and I told you when I said mutual respect, we're talking about valuing each other's differences, supportive, and dealing with each other's personal growth and personal dreams. When you start looking at it that way, that's feelings. We're talking about feelings more than we're talking about choices now. We're talking about feelings. We're talking about you're being aware of what you feel, you being aware of what your mate feel. And you allow them to feel, you allow them to have those feelings, you allow them to grow in that feeling, you allow them to be a part of that, and you share that feeling with them. And this is when love becomes a feeling.
Right. I agree.
So it really makes a difference. And this is how you grow over time. Because if I tell you I feel in my heart that here's something that's important to me, here's something we should consider, and you're my boo, you're my mate, I'm sure you want to support me on it.
True.
or either you'll tell me why you don't think that's a good idea. and then we'll sit down and scratch each other's head and say, okay, let's work this out.
That's right.
We'll come up with a compromise where you can go this far with this, and we'll see, and we'll assess and reassess, and just give a moment to pause midway through and do an assessment to see whether or not you're going to continue to go further in that adventure, or you're going to call a halt to the night of that adventure.
I'm glad you brought that, Angela, because that's what's missing in today's world. That's why so many divorces going on right now, because we don't take the time to actually sit down and have those discussions and deal with our mutual respect and interests and goals. Because if I ask you what's the number one reason why people get a divorce today, I wonder how many can get it right. Some put in the chat, right? Can I get everybody put in the chat? Put in the chat what you think the number one reason for divorce is today. And divorce in America right now is 50% of marriages divorce. Oh, wow. So what is some of the, what do you think the major reason why people divorce? I see money. What are some more? Give me some more.
Communication.
What now? Say what?
Communication and sex.
Okay, communication, sex. All these are good. This ain't number one yet.
Or growth. You always say we outgrew each other.
Well, if I was Steve Harvey and this was whatever that game he played, Family Feud, this ain't the number one answer yet. Infidelity, not number one answer yet.
Oh, really?
Not
disrespect.
Not number one answer yet.
Okay.
Irreconcilable differences. Trust,
not irreconcilable differences. And that's a tongue twister. And not trust.
Okay.
Remember, any other marrying the wrong person? That's a good one, but that's not the one. The number one reason why people divorce today is commitment. They're not committed to the marriage.
That's true, yeah.
Not committed to a relationship.
They just give up.
Yep, they're not committed. Number one reason.
Mr. Carpenter, I know that this is Jarrell Andre, he put in the comments commitment to the process.
I didn't see that. I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were talking, and he did, when he chimed in, he did put that little comment in the chat box.
He put that early on, way before he posed that question. That I saw that chat when it came up. It was way early before we got to this point. So
yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I called myself looking at when people went on what they put. But that's great.
It applies right now.
That is the number one reason why people divorce in America today. Number one reason, commitment. So when we got that, when we talk about this stuff, we want to look at it. Mutual respect is a big key. And then we said respect. And somebody put trust. Somebody put trust in. Trust is tremendous. Trust is the backbone. If communication is the key, trust definitely would be the backbone. Now, trust is kind of strange. Trust is like a rope, like a tether, a little rope. When trust is broken, you think you never get it back? Go ahead.
No, you don't.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. I would say you don't. I think we lie and try to make the partner think, yes, we do trust you, but in our hearts and minds, we really don't. It's like, I believe you, but I'm gonna still check. So I think we don't get it back.
Okay.
But I think I forgot what I was gonna say now. Wait a minute. Give me a minute.
Okay, well, I'll chime in. I'll back up with commitment. You call it commitment, but sometimes it's like the person don't know what they want. They could be immature.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna try to, they're not. You call it commitment, but you committed. You say you committed, but you really don't even know what you want. Yeah. So you just jump off the train wherever it stops.
Yeah, but somebody said selection process. One of the things y'all say is, could that be a selection process? And I'm glad we have these Sunday nights, because as we go further up the road with the Sunday night, as we journey forward, we're going to bring out a lot of good elements and tidbits about relationships. Because relationships, no matter how strong or how good, no matter how much you love, you have to work at relationships. Relationships are something that you have to work at. The best relationships will erode in time.
And you have to stop and think too. If the trust is broken because someone, you know, went out on your spouse or whatever, why did they do that? Think about it as why are they seeking someone else?
Ooh,
and if you love somebody, we are human beings. We all make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not destroy and leave my relationship just because of that one time. Now, if you do it twice,
find out
you're
why.
out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
you guys
sometimes we have to look at ourselves and say, is there something I'm not doing? Is there something that I should be doing more, or I'm not talking enough or communicating enough? There's always a reason why there's infidelity. I don't care what anybody says.
True.
Correct.
There's something going on.
That's correct. It's not, it doesn't happen in what's called a vacuum. Something is for some reason, whether it's the person themselves, whether it's the match, or whether it's the poor selection, or whether it's the commitment, or whatever it is some reason.
But I believe that we're human and we should forgive. I mean, and we need God in our lives. We need God in our relationships.
True.
We really do.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let's hear from Ramona. Ramona, do your mic on? I don't play basketball. One strike you out.
At my age today, I can agree with Ramona. I mean, at my age today, I don't think if I was to find out that my dude cheated on me, that I would stay. I mean, I love you with all my heart, but you know what?
It's going to be at a distance. Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I mean, you just looked at all the years we invested in each other and just said, heck with it. So I can look, I agree. I can't.
Well, ladies, I gotta back you up. I gotta back up a little bit here. Now, love is supposed to be. Is there such a thing as unconditional love?
Yes, but not in that situation. Not for me. I can still love you, and we're not committed to each other. And eventually, my feelings will. Okay, well, you know, it may take maybe 3 to 6, you know, maybe 3 months to 6 months to really get over you, because you if you look at it, 20 years and you find out that the person that you've been with for 20 years cheated on you. I mean, it's like a slap in the face. It took you 20 years to cheat. Have you been contemplating this for a while? I mean, what's going on? What did I do? You telling me all the years that we've been together, you couldn't talk to me about something that I wasn't doing or that you needed me to do to try to salvage the relationship before you decided to go outside the relationship? Come on now.
I'm going to say this, and I'm not condoning cheating. I'm not condoning infidelity.
I know you are.
In no form or fashion. Mm-hmm. But this is what I'm saying. If me and you marry, Glenda, and we're marrying and to death do us part, unconditional love, I unconditional love you, you unconditional love me. And you cheat or I cheat, one of us cheat. Mm-hmm. Is that you trying to tell me that death do us part is done? That we're dead?
No.
Oh, we can talk about it, but I'm not gonna fool with you no more. I'm gonna make my exit plan, honey. I'm sorry. Because if you do it one time, what's gonna stop you from doing it a second time? You didn't talk to me before you went outside the first time. So what makes me think that if you get that feeling or that urge again, that you're gonna talk to me the second time after your junk done came out the closet? Come on, help me, meet me halfway here.
Well, one of the examples we're using tonight was Tasha and Kelvin. Okay, Tasha had learned that Kelvin betrayed her once, went out once, and she was trying to give Kelvin a chance to come back. So what Kelvin and her decided, what Kelvin decided himself, that it was going to take consistent action and doing the right thing and transparency. he was gonna, he was gonna be a model personal relationship, and he was always gonna speak his truth and let her know what's going on. And she felt, and what they felt as a team, they could come back and get back together. They could get their trust back together, and they could salvage their relationship. But that, you're trying to say that wouldn't work in your book. Okay, go ahead.
Let me comment on Andre's remark.
Okay,
Suppose they upbring.
Wait, hold on, Angela. After Andre's remark, then we're gonna let Ramona speak after you. Go ahead, Angela. Then Ramona gonna speak. Go ahead.
Okay. Andre's remarks was, suppose that the man's upbringing was one wherein the man could have multiple relationships or something to that effect. Read the chat.
Well,
suppose his upbringing taught him that he needed multiple women to be happy.
Okay. Listen, I went through that crap. I'm sorry. And I said, listen, but no, this is the real life, regardless of your upbringing. And now you saying that you know a better way, you reading the Bible, so forth and so on. And you still gonna do this? Oh, after 20 years, it's up. Because it was over and over, one after the other. And of course, they hid it all from me, because I really did know that he cared. But I'm not your trophy wife. I'm not going to sit up on the shelf until you find out that your family upbringing really was not the way. It was the new way that you learned from God's word, and I showed you, and I stayed faithful. But when enough is enough, and I can love you at a distance.
Amen.
Amen.
And that,
Let's let Ramona. Come on, Ramona. Just go ahead and put your electronic hand down, and then come on in and say what you got to say.
Okay, let me put the hand down first.
Okay.
Okay, good on the discussion. All right. So first of all, I like to say that I do not believe in unconditional love, and I will explain why. I don't believe in unconditional love to fall in love, and I don't believe in unconditional love as a reason to stay in abuse. And let me explain. Condition mean that there's a reason for your decision. So I'm not going to go out, let's say to out to the street, see a bum who's on crack and fall in love with him. I have a condition for who I'm going to fall in love with. And even though cheating seems to be, the main topic of many conversations, we have to realize that when we start talking about unconditional love, basically the way that I interpret that is that a person can do anything in God's green earth and you're supposed to stay with them. But we have to realize there are other reasons why people get divorced. You got men sneaking in their daughter's room, having sex with their daughters while the mama sleep. You got men going out, gambling away all of the money. You have, and we're just talking about the men. You have men on crack. You have men picking up prostitutes. You have, so what I'm saying is that, yes, cheating is, something big, but when you say unconditional love, what I have now done is giving you the right to do anything you want to do and say that I don't have any condition. You can't live without a condition, more or less, talking about a relationship, even the condition that I have, if I'm going to work for you, you're going to pay me every 2 weeks. You're going to treat me with respect. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't believe in unconditional love to fall in love. There's a condition why I love you. And then there has to be certain things that has to be met for me to stay in love with you. So I don't believe in unconditional love, period.
I'm in agreement with that.
I think it's well stated.
Very well stated. I just don't feel that you should, if I was married 20 years and my husband walked out and did something, I'm not going to throw 20 years away because he made a mistake. I will get counseling with him, whatever we have to do to resolve the marriage, because we are human. We all make mistakes, but I would not throw my relationship away that I've worked so hard for 20 years.
Right. And I agree,
No
and
way.
I believe, yes, ma'am. And what I agree, though, is that what we all have to do is we have to allow every individual to live according to their condition. If someone's condition is, and we'll just use your example, that I spent 20 years, I don't want to throw away. That's your condition, and guess what? That's your right. But if mine is, like I said, one strike and you're out, then I need to have that same freedom to follow my heart, just like the person who want to say that I'm not going to throw away, so many years. So I think there has to be some accommodation for everybody to do what works for them.
Correct.
So I can't say you're wrong for staying with somebody if you've been with them 20 years, and I don't, think that it would be wrong for me, if I don't believe it's wrong, to get out of a relationship in 1 year if the person is cheated or whatever the case may be. So there has to just kind of be some leeway and liberty for everybody to be able to,
when I say this, I'm saying one mistake. Don't get me wrong.
Yes, ma'am.
If he would do it 2 or 3 times, that would end up in divorce. I'm sorry.
Yes,
but I'm
ma'am.
saying one time. If he did it one time, we're human, like I said, and we all make mistakes.
Correct.
And sometimes, what if the shoe was on the other foot? If it's the woman, the men have difficult time if it was the women who step out.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but I'm in agreement.
Yes, ma'am. And I want to say to you that I am not specifically addressing to you, Miss Glenda. We're just having an overall conversation, and I'm speaking general. I'm not talking about you and your husband. So please, if it was taken that way, that's not what
hold up, Ramona. I'm not married. I just been dating the same guy for a long time. So no offense. I don't take it personal.
No, Ramona, this is a safe place. What this is if you had 20 of your girlfriends in your living room talking, and you guys were talking, you're vulnerable, you're talking open, honest from the heart. It is a safe spot. Nobody's judging anybody. No one's challenging anything, anyone. We're just speaking your own truth right now.
Yes.
And that's why when I start this conversation, my first question before I even said anything, before I got into the topic was, is love a feeling or love is a choice? And the reason I started out that way, because you guys just showed right now where it's both. We have feelings about love and we have choices about love. When the feelings come involved, you take more. When the choices come involved, you take less. And and when something
I'm sorry, I was coughing. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'll let you talk. Go ahead.
I would say, go ahead, Miss Glenda.
No. I was trying to get the next person to go ahead and talk.
Okay, I was going to say one more thing. I wanted to say that it also too depends on what your definition of mistake is. Mistake is made of 2 words, miss and take. That is a unintentional error. But you can't tell me you made a mistake and dialed Susan's phone. You made a mistake and lied to me and told me you were going to the ball game with your friends. You made a mistake and booked a hotel. That's not a mistake. I have room for mistakes, but it depends on how you define a mistake. Okay, a mistake is I'm driving down the road and the GPS said turn, left, and I made a mistake and turn right because I couldn't get over. That's a mistake. But when you are premeditating, planning, scheming, figuring out how you can get away with something, that is not a mistake. So yes, I have tolerance for mistakes, but I don't have tolerance for liars and for people who are scheming, who are untrustworthy, and who are conniving.
And that's why it's so important that when I asked the question, what were the number 1 reasons for divorce, and someone put selection process. That's why the selection process is so important. That's why a lot of times before you marry or before you get into a strong relationship, there need to be a runway between the time you get that spark of being with somebody to the time you and that person get together, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, or whether it's husband and wife, because you need to make sure that you guys are equally yoked. You guys make sure that you guys are going for the same, you guys are going the same trajectory. You agree to take that journey together. And this is why that mutual respect, the trust, the communication, and shared goals and values come into play. They have to come into play there, because it's too late when the mistake is made. You take care of mistakes before they're made. The communication is the key to the relationship. If we're communicating that we have a problem, that's how the relationship can stay on track. That communication helps us grow. When an issue comes up, two Sundays ago, we taught a technique called start, stop, and continue, where you and your mate sit down and you guys say, hey, baby, here's what I wish you would start doing. Or, hey, baby, here's what I wish you would stop doing. Or, hey, baby, here's what I wish you would continue to do. Because that, just to take those 15, 20 minutes to sit down and do that, you can cut out a lot of dumb stuff. You can cut out a lot of misunderstandings, because you get to talk. You get to share your inner feelings. You get to be vulnerable. Trust, and I asked the question, can trust be rebuilt once it's been broken?
Yes.
A lot of times when trust is not rebuilt, a lot of times when trust is not rebuilt, that person that cheated or that person that went astray continue to go astray because they feel they can never get that trust back. Or the person that didn't cheat or the person that stayed faithful will begin to cheat or go look somewhere else because they feel they can't trust the other partner. So I'm not saying they're out there doing it, so I'm out there doing it. So I'm not turning now, but you don't have that trust, because it's very important that trust is the actual part of the relationship that's key. If you can't trust your mate, your boo, your husband, your partner, your whatever, you can't trust them, you don't have anything anyway.
Right.
That's true.
Because if you can't trust them, you question everything they do.
Yeah.
And that transparency is a key. Go ahead, Annette. I'm sorry, Annette. You keep chiming in. Go ahead, Annette.
Oh no, I was saying what you were saying. I was seconding what you were saying.
Okay.
It makes sense. Trust is so good. I do want to say one other thing though, in reference to this. Like, let's say if your mate, your husband, your wife, whatever, cheat, is the relationship over or whatever? I think at that point, when you first find out if they're committed to the relationship, they may bring the idea to the relationship that this has happened. I think that's when communication becomes the most important, because then at that time you decide, where do we go from here? Okay, because if you cheat on me one time, my mind gonna tell me you're gonna do it again. But maybe you won't. But my mind is telling me you're gonna do it again. But if we can communicate, maybe in our communication we can get it across that, hey, this happened. I'm human, but it's not gonna happen again. And we can move on and move forward together and become stronger.
Yeah.
Or we can decide that, hey, no, this is just not going to work. So I really think, as far as a cheating situation, whether it's on the male part or the female part, I don't think that first time, one time could be a deal breaker, because we are human. I do think that first time, one time is the critical, crucial time for urgent communication. And then we decide what happens at that point. Okay. That's the way I see it.
And that was in the illustrated example. When I said when Tara and Kelvin were together, and they felt in order for them to get their trust back, that Kelvin had to show consistent action, where he was consistent doing the right thing. Plus, he had to have transparency. He couldn't say, "Me and the boys are going there, and he going here, and he go do something else." It had to be where everything was super above board before they could get that relationship back. Oh, now we're covering a lot. We're right at 38 minutes. Now, our Sundays at 9, we try to do somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes. Now, we can go to an hour, and I don't have a problem doing that. But what we try to do is trying to make it where it's short, because right now, Sunday nights, I know a lot of us got to go to work tomorrow, and we try not to keep it too long, but we want to keep it interesting, keep it going. So we're right at that 38 minute. So we got about another good 10 minutes, and we're going to start wrapping this up. So one thing I wanted to get to before we got further in this now, and this particularly to Black women, and I'm not singling Black women, but what I'm saying, Black women, I'm bringing them out because 78% of Black households are being run by single Black women. So the pressures, the cultural pressure of being on those women that are actually running those households, and them falling in love and trying to handle a relationship, because they're bringing somebody into their household with their children, or they're having their children meet somebody else. And that's a unique situation. So I wanted us to address that a little bit. I want us to talk about that a little bit, because 78% of Black households right now are being run by single females. So if you're a single female in that situation, are you putting your love life on hold, or how are you dating? You know, are you going to their house, to his house, or are you bringing them to your house?
Well, I do have something to say about that. I'm a white woman, and this is for white women and Black women. I don't believe ever you should have a man come to your house when you have children. If you plan on marrying that man one day, then I would introduce it slowly. Because so many women, including white women, they have boyfriends move in, and then there's, it's just a mess. I just would never introduce my children to any man,
Yes, I'm in agreement with that strongly.
Yeah.
And I took a stand because I knew me. And I know because I decided I wanted to wait. I wanted to set a good example for my daughter. And I want her to know you can get a hold of your emotions when you've been hurt, and you can still make it in life. Okay. But I knew myself, if I would have allowed a man to come in or to visit me there, any man violate my daughter, I already know I was prepared to go to jail, because I would kill him.
Me too. Me too.
There was no question about it. So I knew that was my bottom line. So I had no question about it. So I just decided I won't even date until my daughter go off to college and was out of my house. And in other words, except for when she came home during college, I set that in my head, because I already knew, I already prepared, because I will go to jail. And I knew that. And that's just how strong I felt about incest and things of that nature.
Go ahead, Annette.
Oh my goodness. Well, I would say that the relationship should be about you and he for a while. So I think you should be out. You guys should be out. Whatever you choose to do, if you got a family with your kids at home and you're single, doing whatever you got to do, I think you need to keep your man out of the house for a while, or whatever. He can come over and y'all can laugh and talk and everything, but when it comes down to intimacy or anything else, I think you need to take it out of the house for a while. Mm-hmm. I don't think that should be happening there, and he shouldn't be staying there. That's the way I feel.
Okay. And I had to bring it up because that's a big issue. That's a big issue in this day and time, with 78% of the households being run by Black women. So I wanted to bring that up and get your opinion. Let's talk about that, because this is a good forum that we can talk about some of those things, because some of us are reared differently. I noticed some of Andre's comment. Andre and I must have been raised similar, because a lot of the comments he's having is some of the things I noticed. Because the part we talked about raising, seeing your mom and dad. When I came up, my dad used to cheat on my mom so much. And Friday and Saturday night, my mom and dad used to fight, because my dad would come home broke and drunk, and all the money be gone, and he'd spend it on some woman in the street. And him and my mom would fight, and me and my little brothers and sisters would get on him, get on his leg, and tell him, "I'll stop beating my mama up." And see, and then that wasn't the bad thing. The bad thing was the same thing happened across the street. The same thing, the neighbor and their wife across the street, and the same thing about the neighbor and wife on the other side of the street. So I was reared seeing this. And I saw my older brothers grew up, they doing the same thing. So that's why it's very, very, very important that we have these Sunday nights at 9 so we can come up with a new reality. We can talk these things out. Because when Andre said what he said, I understood exactly what he was talking about. To some of you, go ahead.
But Ruth is okay. Everybody grew up with something, okay? And I observed things, and I knew then as a child, as a young girl growing up, oh, I ain't tolerating that, and I'm not tolerating that, and I'm not tolerating that. You know, different things that I saw that I didn't necessarily like, that I, you know, and I just wasn't going to tolerate that. It's not acceptable, because that's not the way I want to be treated. I wasn't going to tolerate that. You did that because that, you know, you're waiting for him to bring the check home. I'm going to work hard and I'm going to have my own check.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to come together and we're going to do it this way. And if we're not going to, you know, do it a better way than what I've seen, then I'd rather be by myself.
And I'm glad you got that. And again, it's very important that we understand we first got to love ourselves.
Right.
Love is the glue, but first you got to love yourself first, and you got to set boundaries. What are your boundaries? And you first have to be the first one to honor your boundaries. It's not so much of the other person honor your boundaries. You have to honor them yourself. And that's the thing, what you will take and what you won't take.
Right.
Because now you're right, it's a choice and it's a feeling, but you have the choice. Love is about action. Love is about action and choices that you make daily for yourself and for your partnership and for your relationship. Once again, relationships you have aren't broken. It's the people in the relationships.
Right. And I tell you, just to add to that, and I wish I had that scripture, and I'll have to look it up. When I discovered that scripture, you know, I already knew what I would tolerate and I wouldn't, but now you're in love and you're married and you're trying to make it work and so forth. But when I read that scripture about God is my first husband, my mind got to turning. He wouldn't do this to me. He wouldn't cheat on me. He would, you know, if he's committed to this, to these vows that we made, then he would yield to the process instead of doing the same thing over and over again and ducking and dodging.
People had signs, you know, our hero.
But when I realized that God wouldn't do it to me, I thought, oh, I ain't taking it off for no man that's walking on earth doing it. Because you don't have to. Because this is who I am.
Do you believe there's a person out there that got your name on them that's thinking the same way you thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the equally yoke come in play.
It does.
Marina, did you want to say something? I saw your.
No, I'm just still waiting too for the right man to walk in the door, you know.
But in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy myself.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Because I know who I am, and it doesn't take another person to complete me. Just
that's right.
I want two whole people. Come on, let's do this together. Let's walk it out.
I understand that. And love has to, for love to work. Love cannot work in a vacuum. Love needs communication. Love needs trust. Love needs mutual respect, and love needs shared goals. These are the pieces that make love. Love can only be the glue if love has something to stick to. Love can be the glue if love has something to stick to. And any commercial you see about glue, whether it's super glue, gorilla glue, or super tape, or alien tape, no matter what you see, is bonded to something. It's two things sticking together.
Absolutely. And I don't care how a person grew up and what they dealt with, you got to decide. But I don't want to live like that. You got to make a choice.
You make your own choices.
You make your own choices. I'm not going to do that. I didn't like seeing that. and I'm not going to be a part of that. I made some conscious decision in life. I'm not going to smoke because that ruins my health. I'm not going to drink. It changed my father on the weekends. He was a lovely man. I love my daddy, but he was just different after he drank. He get some alcohol in him on the weekend. So I made some decisions of different things and relationships. I mean, he had his, he had a hard life coming up. At 27, him and my mom had 10 children.
Ooh.
At 27, it was 10 of us. 1 bathroom, 4 bedrooms.
So you
and so it was hard.
So you understand a lot. So a lot of us have came up to some of the same way. So I understand that very much so. Glenda, you want to say something like Glenda? Because
we've had a tough crowd tonight. So I just enjoyed the conversation between the guests tonight. But I did want to go back to earlier in the conversation before we, log off, that I know that when I was married, my husband at the time, he felt as if no matter how he treated me, that I would never go anywhere, that I was going to settle, that I was going to take whatever he dished out. And he even said, my dad used to hit my mom and she never left him. I had to tell him, I'm not your mom. I'm not going to tolerate this. And for him to say that out his mouth to me, I was like, really? I mean, if we had a daughter, because we had 2 sons, would you want a man to say that to your daughter? It's okay for him to hit your daughter? I mean, really, did you say that out of your mouth? And it was so shocking and devastating to me that, those were the types of situations and conversations that we had that led me up to filing for a divorce, because I was like, if he thought like this man does not really love me the way I love him. He feels as if he can love me based off of, the time that we've invested in each other. We have 2 kids, but love is also about respect and commitment. If I can't trust you in my face as well as when you're not in my face, or I have to sit up there and ask you, can you babysit your kid? These are your kids. I shouldn't have to ask you to babysit your kids. Or if we get in an argument, you feel like you got to put your hands on me. That's not the kind of love that I'm looking for, or I feel like I deserve.
Right. And abusive men are controlling men.
Very, very. But I had to make a decision that that's not what I wanted for myself, nor did I want to keep having to expose my sons to that, because I didn't want them to think that behavior was acceptable. Right, and then they get married, get into relationships, and they
do the same thing.
No.
Right, you have to draw the line. That's an excuse. That was my upbringing. That's what I was told. That's what all the men in my family did. Well, hell, go be with your family then.
Jeez. Yes.
Because that's not the way. If you want to get in a committed relationship, we're gonna, become one, and we're gonna be committed to each other and faithful and communicate and all like this. But you ain't gonna put me on the shelf until you come in the house broke down.
Right.
So I ain't gonna have that. And then to take care of you. No, I'm divorcing now so I can live my life. You go ahead on with that nonsense.
I'm so proud of all you strong women.
That's a whole bunch of shenanigans. And there's no excuse for that. Mm-hmm. It's no excuse for that. You have to be willing to change. That's when you accept Christ, you become a new creature. Old things are passed away, and all things become new because you work on it every day. And if that's not what you want to do, we'll see you. I love you at a distance. Bye-bye.
Okay, ladies, it's been fun. It's been real. But we're at that time now. We're beyond our time to cut off because we never go past 10 o'clock. And it's 9:53, so we're cutting this we're going to end this. Anybody want to have a last comment? We got any of our audience want to close us out? Anybody from the audience want to have a last comment? Anybody from the audience? Who we haven't heard from tonight? Let me see. Who we haven't heard from tonight? Andre, you haven't said anything, have you, Andre?
No, but he been blowing up the chat.
Yeah, talk about submitting. Talk about
I don't think
submitting. I thought you were
it
a
was
fine man before
Come
tonight.
on,
Talk
Andre, you got
about
the
submitting.
last comment for
I'm
the night,
just
Andre.
listening to everything. I'm listening to what you guys are saying, and I'm gonna be honest. I think my comment would stimulate to next week's topic, so I'm not gonna say it.
What's your comment for next week? What's the comment, you guys?
Well, no, truthfully, what I was listening to, I'm listening to how we talk about these relationships, and some of them about abuse, some about cheating. So then I started wondering, well, do people now just choose the lesser of two evils? Do they say, okay, well, he's not abusing me, so I'm gonna stay with the cheating? Well, he's not cheating on me because I know he's at home and he's just beating on me. And it's like I'm wondering if that's what people are doing.
That sounds like something
well,
silly.
that you're right. That's a song and dance for another day. Everybody, it's been fun. Go ahead, Ramon. Go ahead.
Yes, I was going to say maybe you all could put this on your list, and I'm out. Okay, so with the whole cheating thing, my question would be, for those who accept cheating and maybe say, you know, it's an error or a mistake. My question is, for another topic, what kind of cheating is okay? If your husband is cheating with a man, is that okay? If your husband is cheating with your sister, is that okay? If your husband has impregnated two of your daughters, is that okay? So when we just start saying, you know, cheating, this is 2024. What kind of cheating are we talking about? I'm out.
All right,
Mr.
everybody.
Carpenter, can you please make a note? Make a note.
Made a note. Good night, everybody. It's been fun. Hey, Carol and Hal, welcome aboard. See you guys. Good night. See you next week.
I'm sorry I came on late.
It's all good. Come next
No
week.
problem.
Come next week.
As long as you're on. See you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, love you, Rufus.
Again, thanks for coming, being part of
Super Bowl next week.
Oh, Glenda, you gotta make a decision. We still doing that, or we doing Super Bowl? What we doing, Glenda?
We might not have no participants, and I don't just want to talk to you.
So you want to postpone next week?
Yes.
Okay, so guys, we're not doing next week for Super Bowl, so we'll come week after Super Bowl. All right.
All right.
Good night.
Cool.
Hey, good night, everybody. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.